North Korea on Sunday called the latest round of punishing United Nations sanctions an act of war, and reminded the United States that the North's rapid development of missiles and atomic bombs meant it posed a substantial nuclear threat to the U.S. mainland. In a statement released by the state-controlled Korean Central News Agency, North Korea said the sanctions approved unanimously on Friday by the United Nations Security Council were tantamount to a blockade, and a threat to retaliate against the United States and the Council's 14 other member nations. We will further consolidate our self-defensive nuclear deterrence aimed at fundamentally eradicating the U.S. nuclear threats, blackmail and hostile moves by establishing the practical balance of force with the U.S., the Foreign Ministry statement read. The sanctions, proposed by the United States and adopted by a vote of 15-0, were the third imposed this year in a continuing effort to get the North to halt its weapons program and return to the negotiating table. Under the new sanctions, fuel supplies will be drastically cut, and roughly 100,000 North Koreans working in other countries will be expelled within 2 years. The sanctions are intended to hurt North Korea in two vital ways. Cutting refined petroleum imports by 89% would exacerbate the country's fuel crisis, and expelling foreign guest workers would substantially reduce remittances, an important source of hard currency. We define this sanctions resolution rigged up by the U.S. and its followers as a grave infringement upon the sovereignty of our republic, as an act of war violating peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula and the region, and categorically reject the resolution, the North said in its statement. The North vowed that each country that voted in favor of the resolution would be subject to retaliation. Presumably, the threat extends to Russia and China, the isolated nation's last remaining allies, which approved the resolution after seeking modifications from the Trump administration. Those countries that raised their hands in favor of this sanctions resolution shall be held completely responsible for all the consequences to be caused by the resolution, and we will make sure forever and ever that they pay a heavy price for what they have done, the North said. North Korea has conducted 6 nuclear tests and has demonstrated major progress with its missiles even though the United Nations has prohibited them. In November, the North tested an intercontinental ballistic missile that it said was capable of hitting the continental United States.